Here we are at the Cultivated Tiny Home. Come on, let's take a tour. On the backside of the Cultivated Tiny Home, this is probably the most unique part of the whole home. This 24-foot wall is constructed fully from Z-panels. Z-panels are our own proprietary Hempcrete technology. What makes that really neat for a tiny home is that Z-panels are mold, fire, pest, and rot resistant. Mold is probably one of the bigger problems that tiny homes do tend to have. So the fact that we constructed a full thermal wall from a mold resistant material makes this really special. You can learn more about the Z-panel specifically on our website. To tell you a little bit more about a thermal storage wall, thermal storage walls are unique in the way that they heat up and they cool down really slowly. So the design concept behind it is in a winter month like this, you let the sun shine through your south-facing windows and it hits that wall and it heats it up. And then throughout the nighttime, that wall will release that heat really slowly because it heats up and cools down slowly. So thermal mass is a really cool concept and it's rarely incorporated into tiny homes because it's difficult to do. But that's what we did with this wall. Almost the whole exterior of this home is wrapped in a Pro Snap steel. Pro Snap is a type of steel that is considered a hidden fastener steel. So it means that the number of screw holes on the exterior of your building are greatly minimized. There's very few. And that's important because wherever you have a screw hole, you have a potential for leak. So this is all hidden fastener steel on the roof, on all of the exterior as well. And on the roof, an extra layer of protection that we put on is we also put ice and water shield under the whole roof. So underneath that layer of Pro Snap steel, there's ice and water shield. So just to ensure, if water were to ever get in there somehow, you have an extra layer of protection. The one area that we decided to add a little bit of an accent is above and below this big window here. You'll see that that's not steel. That's actually real red cedar siding, beveled siding. And we went with that just to add something a little bit different, make it a little bit more interesting than just being a fully black steel building. And it's actually finished off with a hemp oil. So all of this cedar here is stained with a hemp oil. So kind of sticking with that theme that we really wanted to, stay with, that we're using all non-toxic materials in this whole building through and throughout. To tell you a little bit more about the windows, all the windows are ordered from Paynes. So Paynes is a company based out of Canada. They make custom windows. So these were all custom for this specific build. Really cool windows, all black exterior, all aluminum clad, all double pane, argon filled, low E windows. So very energy efficient. That's really the goal we're trying to accomplish with this home, is to make it as energy efficient as possible. Now we're in the main living space, and one thing that this home does really well is it takes advantage of natural light. So we have 3 big windows all on this side of the tiny home, and this ideally would be your south-facing side. Here we have this big 6-foot sliding patio door. We have a 6-foot window right next to it. So here we have essentially 12 feet of glass, and that lets in a ton of light. Right now the lights are not on in here, but you see it's plenty bright. And then behind me, we also have this 40-inch wide by 48-inch tall picture window. So again, just a lot of light in this main living space that also radiates into the kitchen. What really is amazing is that all that light coming through these windows heats up this thermal wall. And I've been here for a few hours today. It's very sunny today, and it's only about 25-30 degrees out, but this heater has never kicked in. So the mini split system hasn't even had to kick in because all of that sunlight coming through these windows is hitting everything in here. It's hitting the thermal wall right here, the Z-panel wall, and it's heating it up. So it just makes this home as energy efficient as possible. All the walls are finished with a solid wood pine shiplap. And you may not think, well, that matters a whole lot, but it actually does, because a lot of shiplap that you see in other homes is made from MDF. MDF uses a glue that may or may not off gas, but more likely than not it does. So when you use a solid wood product, solid wood does not off gas. So what we did is we got real wood pine shiplap, and then we finished it ourselves. So we used the paint from Claire paint, and it's all non-toxic, no off-gassing, no VOC paint. So we finished this all in-house because we bought pine shiplap unfinished. So that's what you'll see, and all of the walls surrounding this whole home is real wood pine shiplap on the ceiling and all the walls. Here we are in the kitchen, probably the most important part of any home. Let me tell you a little bit about it. So start with the sink. So the sink is all a quartz black 24-inch wide sink. You know, sometimes in tiny homes people go with real small sinks. We wanted to go with a nice full-size sink because you know, it makes things so much more functional in your kitchen when you actually have a big usable sink. And then as far as the oven range, kind of same thing. We went with a 24-inch wide purpose-built range. So this is actually made for RVs, small homes. We went with all electric, has an electric cooktop, electric oven. And the reason for that, I went with all electric appliances all throughout, because then that maximizes a person's off-grid capability. Let's say someone does have land with a solar setup, then you can just plug this in. It's a standard 50 amp RV plug-in, and you can power the whole home. You're not having to source propane. Just to tell you a little bit more about the kitchen, I think that when it comes to appliances, it's nice to have fairly large appliances. So we have a 10 cubic foot freezer combo here. You'll see it matches the range, all black appliances from Summit. And again, all electric, just to maximize the simplicity of this tiny home. Over here next to the fridge, we also tucked 4 floating shelves just to give you some pantry space, storage space. You'll see here we have this nice deep window well right in front of the sink, and that's because we have a 11-inch thick Z-panel wall here. But it makes for a great spot to put plants or whatever you might want to put there on your shelf right here in front of the sink. Here in the kitchen, we went with counter to ceiling height backsplash. This is a real tile backsplash. Kind of cool tile because it has some gold accents in it. It might be a little bit hard to see at times, but there's little gold accents in that tile. Kind of highlights the gold hardware that you'll also see on the cabinets. But I love it. I think it turned out absolutely beautiful. It was my wife's idea, so I give her credit. We also went with these floating shelves. So solid wood floating shelves. We went with shelves instead of upper cabinets in this kitchen, just to keep it as open as possible. We know that, in a tiny home, space is limited. So we didn't want to close it in too much with upper cabinets. So we went with shelving instead. And we went with floating shelves just to kind of minimize the visibility of brackets. And again, keep it as open as possible. And of course, I think it turned out very beautiful. There are a few other things I thought would be worth mentioning just structurally. So like I mentioned, we used Z panels on this 24-foot long wall as a thermal storage wall. So you might be wondering, well, what's in the other walls as far as insulation? We use all rock wool insulation. Rock wool is another great alternative. It's mold resistant, it is fire resistant, and it has really cool sound deadening capabilities. This whole structure here, the acoustic properties are unique. There's just a lot of sound deadening. It's pretty quiet in here. So that's what we use on all of the other walls is rock wool thermal insulation. So it's really, really cool. Another thing worth mentioning is we have a 12,000 BTU mini split system. So this provides all the heating and cooling. Mini splits are great. This easily heats this whole place. Even on the coldest days. For the floor insulation, we did 2 things. So first, we used a 2-inch layer of spray foam in between each joist. And the reason why I went with spray foam first is because then it really seals all those cracks that might exist between the floor joists and the subfloor. And then over the top of that, to break up that thermal bridge that the steel floor joist would typically have between your your subfloor and the exposed elements underneath, we actually went over the top, or I should say under the bottom of that, with 2-inch thick styrofoam. And so there's actually about 4 inches of foam insulation. There's an R value of right around 22 in the floor. So that provides a sufficient insulation in the flooring. A few other design features worth pointing out. This whole home does have 15 total outlets in here. So a lot of outlet capacity. You can plug in just about whatever you might need. Those are on a few different breakers to ensure that you're not overloading the electrical. We also put an outlet up there in the corner, and that is because I thought, boy, that might be a good spot for a TV if someone wanted a TV. So we put one outlet high up on the wall if you wanted to put an outlet, or I'm sorry, a TV, kind of above that window next to the mini split. Also, we have all hard maple butcher block. So if you go through all of the different wood species that are in this home, it's pretty amazing. So you know what, I might as well just list them because it might be kind of interesting for people. So we have hard maple butcher block. We have solid pine shiplap, also solid pine railings and stairs. We have birch hardwood flooring. We have red cedar for the floor joists for those exposed beams also. We also have red cedar siding. So a lot of different wood species that are showcased in this home. Hard maple, pine, red cedar, birch. I feel like I'm missing one. I think there's another one. I gotta think about what that might be. But it's pretty cool when you think about all the different wood species that go into building this. But I think the butcher block is really beautiful. I love the way it turned out. Again, these are stained with a food grade dark tongue oil. We use that same hard maple butcher block on the countertops for the kitchen, but also on this breakfast bar. You'll see that those match. Just to tell you a little bit more about the loft. It does have a loft, obviously. It's a little bit bigger than 9 foot by 7 foot. I think it's right around 65 square feet of space up there. So plenty big to put a bed, maybe even, some small drawers if you wanted some storage space too. But plenty capable as a sleeping loft. Here again in the kitchen, in the ceiling, we actually left these 4x4 beams exposed. These serve as the floor joists for the loft, and they're actually all made out of red cedar, and I thought they were beautiful. I thought, boy, it would be a shame to cover up red cedar, so let's leave those exposed. I think it ended up looking really beautiful. We painted the ceiling above it white. It helps accent that red cedar and kind of make it stand out. All right, we're on to the bathroom. So one of the biggest features of this bathroom is this full 5 foot wide shower. I feel like if there's any area where you don't want to feel cramped, it's in your shower. So I went with a full 5 foot wide shower, all tile surround, and sliding glass doors. So, a lot of times people will try to get away with, just doing curtain rods or whatever, and that's fine, but we wanted to make this look really nice. We went with sliding glass doors here in the shower. And again, I think it turned out really nice. All glass tile surround, so kind of unique. We also went with gold shower head, gold shower handle. Just kind of sticks with the theme that we have throughout this tiny home of having a mix of gold accents with the blacks and the whites, and it kind of contrasts nicely. And a lot of natural wood showing as well. Just to tell you a little bit more about the bathroom, so on the floor, we have a full tiled floor. You'll also see that we have a 30-inch wide vanity, so a nice big sink in the bathroom, along with a separate toilet. So this toilet is usually really desired in tiny homes. So it's a composting toilet that actually has a urine diverter. So it diverts your urine away from your number twos. And that's nice because then you're only composting your number twos and the urine goes into your gray water. And gray water is much more easy to manage than black water. So this home is designed so that you only have gray water to work with. There's no black water. Put a composting toilet in here for that reason.